Damian Lillard just had 71 points the other day after earlier in the season, Donovan Mitchell had 71 himself. And scoring in the modern NBA, especially this season, has gotten so ridiculous that somehow this 70 piece from Dame hasn't even been treated like the biggest deal in the world. The question that a lot of people have been asking after this game is, would it be possible for someone to actually break Wilt Chamberlain's record of scoring 100 in a game? Because if this amount of volume scoring is something that we're getting desensitized to, then how far can it go? Let's talk about it. Before I continue on with this video, if you end up enjoying it, please be sure to subscribe. There's going to be a video every other day here for the foreseeable future. Also drop a like. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So real quick, let's just go over Dame's 70 piece. I'm going to record a second channel video that will be out before this, so you can go check out my overall thoughts on this game, but let's just show him a little bit of love real quick. Against the Houston Rockets, Damian Lillard scored 71 points, and he did so on 38 shots, and he hit 13 three-pointers. And I think it's interesting to compare this game versus Donovan Mitchell's, because Donovan Mitchell relied more on free throws and less on three-pointers. And if we're going all the way back to Devin Booker's 70 piece a couple of seasons ago, it was a similar thing. He actually only hit 4 three-pointers, but like Mitchell, got over 20 free throws. So this might actually be, and for Damian Lillard, the most points scored not from free throws in like God knows how long. I think it's probably objectively the case. So gotta give him the credit for that. He compensated for the lack of free throws by hitting 13 three-pointers, which ties him for second all-time with Kobe. Steph did it a few times. Zach LaVine has done it, and I think there's one random player that I think played for the Raptors that's done it. But yeah, 13 threes, and you look at all of these different 70-point performances, and they actually kind of did it all in their own different way. In the case of Donovan Mitchell, he really attacked from the mid-range. In the case of Devin Booker, he really got to the line and got into the paint. He definitely had some mid-range shooting too, no doubt, but Mitchell also employed quite a bit of three-pointers. But in the case of Dame, it was threes upon threes and getting to the rim kind of at will. But that's enough discussion of the individual games. Let's talk about the prospect of actually scoring 100. The only reason I bring up those games is that they could potentially be the blueprint, but it is worth noting that even if players are able to score 70 points and it's not even the biggest deal in the world anymore based on the way that offense is in the modern NBA, even if that is the truth, we're still talking about a 29-point deficit here that needs to be overcome. In this case, in the case of both of them, was the Mitchell game overtime? I don't remember. I think so. But 48 minutes of action, for the most part, is what's required for this to actually happen. So adding those extra 29 points in there will require something unbelievably extraordinary. Scoring 70 is already extraordinary, but this requires damn near 50% more of that. So it definitely is a tall ask for anybody. That said, how do you do it? Dame did it from the three-point line. Both Mitchell and Devin Booker, for the most part, got a lot of points at the free throw line. Mitchell got 20, I think Booker got 26. In this case, Damian Lillard only got 14 points from the free throw line. So I think you kind of have to have the combination of both. You're probably gonna have to hit a ridiculous amount of threes, and you're going to have to get to the line a ridiculous amount of times, and you're gonna have to hit those damn free throws. So we need for a player to pick to actually potentially do this, it needs to be a player that is capable of hitting 10 plus three-pointers in a game, and a player that is capable of going to the line 25 times or more. Shockingly, with how the NBA is today, there's actually a decent list of people that can do that. Could Donovan Mitchell theoretically have just hit 7 more three-pointers and that nearly gets him there? Maybe, you know? It's all a ridiculous ask 100% 100% of the time, no questions asked, it's going to be a ridiculous thing to achieve. But that's really probably the avenue, is you're going to have to kind of do everything. You're going to have to get your easy points in the paint, easy points on the drive. It's not going to be able to happen against a great defense. Obviously, the Houston Rockets are not a great defense, though to give credit to Damian Lillard, he was hitting some very difficult shots in this game. There were also a lot of easy-ass drives, so there is that. But it's going to have to be, shock of all shocks. You're going to have to get buckets in a lot of different ways. You're going to have to get to the free throw line. You're going to have to hit threes. You're going to have to get drives. I would say, just because it's mathematically the least efficient shot, try to limit how much you're relying on mid-range shots to rack up those points, because it's just not the easiest way. If we're talking about scoring 100 points in a regulation game, you're gonna have to take the shots that really have a high percentage chance of going in. In Damian Lillard's case, he was on pace for having the most efficient 70 piece, and I think it's still up there, but in the last 5 minutes of the game, he kind of shot himself out of that, trying to actually get to 70. Are the circumstances of modern scoring so severe that 100 points is really actually achievable? I would say yes, but it is unlikely. See, after this game, I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter, a lot of people saying that it's almost all but a guarantee that this is going to happen. And as much as I understand freaking out about scoring 70 points, as much as I understand making a big deal of that or making hyperbolic statements after the fact, it needs to be understood that these statements are kind of hyperbolic. Because, again, as I mentioned, you are asking, after what Dame did, after what Mitchell did, after what Devin Booker did, you're asking them to do almost 50% more than what they already did. That is a very tall ask. That is a very tall order. That's not something that just casually happens. You have to do something unfreaking believable. In the case of Wilt Chamberlain, from what is documented, because it wasn't recorded, which some people find suspect, but it was the 60s. For his 100-point game, he was just fed point-blank layups, and there was really nothing that the Knicks could do about it. Meanwhile, defenses in the modern NBA, even if it's a bad defense, they're still going to scheme to try and seek after that player. After Dame started to go off a bit, the defense really keyed up on him. Obviously, they were already focused on him primarily because Portland's roster is not that good and Anthony Simons wasn't playing in this case. But in general, as the points start to rack up, the pressure from the defense comes up as well. And the defense would have to be almost historically bad to really give opportunity to score that many freaking points. We're still talking about, after 48 minutes of action have been played, Dame still needed 30 points to break Wilt Chamberlain's record, needed 29 to tie it and get to 100. So this is maybe the way that it happens, that it would have to happen. It would have to be one of these performances, one of these ludicrous, outlandish, never happened performances, but it goes into 3 overtimes. Maybe if Dame and this Blazers game with the Rockets was a little bit closer, maybe it would have gone in a couple of overtimes, and maybe that is what ultimately gets someone 100 piece. But in regulation, with how much defenses are going to queue up, with how much teams care about the social media era and being clowned on and all of that, I just don't think that it's really that realistic for it to happen. Is it possible? Sure, I think anything is possible, and I think the context of modern basketball is such that it's as possible as it has ever been, but probably not likely. Probably not going to happen. I hate to be a Debbie Downer because Lord knows it would be fun, but it's not very realistic. Anyways, those are my quick thoughts. Again, go check out my second channel video to get my overarching thoughts on Damian Lillard's performance, and that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing the video, and goodbye.